There we go. John Sukenik is on your left. He's playing Jeskai Control against James Wohlmacher on your right, playing Abzan.
We're calling this Abzan, but it's not your traditional Abzan type list.
No, his deck is really weird. He's got some Voice of Resurgences, some Bitter Blossoms. I think he's brought a build of Abzan that probably beats up on Dust Shadow.
Sure.
But might be a little bit worse in matchups like this, as he's going to start things off with an Inquisition of Kozilek. Path to Exile, a Lightning Bolt, Cryptic Command, and 2 Scalding Tarns is what Mr. Sukenik is working with. He's working with 1 less Path to Exile now. He'll play a Scalding Tarn and pass the turn back as we are finally underway here Saturday morning from Roanoke, Virginia. We did it.
Finally.
We did it.
Yep.
We're live. We're cooking. Who you got as the favorite in this matchup? And why?
Well, you're saying that this Abzan deck is going to line up worse against the Jeskai Control deck because it looks like it's geared to beat Death Shadow strategies.
Feels like it.
But a lot of the cards that he has are still good in this type of matchup. Bitter Blossom is a very strong card against a control deck. A whole bunch of Lingering Souls are a strong card in a control matchup. Liliana of the Veil, which he has 3 copies of, strong card in a control matchup. So I think he still has the tools to participate in this game, to have a shot. On the flip side, as you mentioned during our echoey intro,
yes,
Sukenik's had a lot of success with this deck. He won a Classic, just about a month ago.
Yep.
And we've talked at length about how the tighter Modern gets, the better it is for control decks because they know what to play. This isn't the matchup that Sukenik probably thought he was going to run into this weekend, but I think that his deck is in a very good place.
Okay. Well, he's behind the 8 ball right now. Bitter Blossom has resolved. You can see his hand. He's got 3 lands on the battlefield: a Sacred Foundry, a Hallowed Fountain, and Inspired Bluff Canals. 3 of the cards at the top, underneath his name, Cryptic Command, Lightning Bolt, and Scalding Tarn, are actually in his hand. He's just playing with that part of his hand revealed because of an Inquisition of Kozilek that was cast by James a little bit earlier. And then the card that he's kind of gripping in his hand is also a land. So he doesn't have a lot of action going on as Wohlmacher is going to search up an Overgrown Tomb via the very powerful Windswept Heath.
And Bitter Blossom is one of those deceptive cards where it seems like you have lots of time. You're like, oh, like one little fairy a turn, not that much pressure, but it actually gets out of control kind of quick.
Yeah, it adds up pretty quick. And for those of you who did not play in like 2008 and 9 when fairies was a thing back during Lorwyn and Lorwyn Block, yeah, it's a heck of a card. It's a heck of a Magic card. It's no joke. Now Liliana of the Veil has come down. Sukenik has discarded a card. He's going to Lightning Bolt that, bring it down to 1. Needs to make sure that Liliana isn't working towards its ultimate. As you saw Wohlmacher discard a Lingering Soul. So everything is going well here for James. Sukenik is going to play a Lightning Helix over there too. Curious to see if he'll play his land. He will, which means he's opened himself up to another copy of Liliana, making him discard Cryptic Command if James does have that. For now, James will take 1 from Bitter Blossom.
And it looks like James has drawn the best parts of his deck for this matchup.
I agree.
Turn 1 discard spell, turn 2 Bitter Blossom, turn 3 Lily, discarding the Lingering Souls. It's looking really good for him right now.
In for 1 he comes with a fairy token. And now here's a Tarmogoyf. And Wohlmacher will simply pass the turn back. Tarmogoyf die out there. Check the size. Tarmogoyf die, not actually the Tarmo die out there to check the size of the Tarmogoyf. It's a 4/5. Nice.
Yeah.
Sukenik, you're so good. Turn that die so people can see. He knows.
Get that man on camera.
I'm going to try to. He's earned it.
Face-up cards for us.
Yeah, he knows how it's done. He should be basically in the feature match area every time.
Yeah, and you almost always see him smiling. He doesn't take his losses too hard. He's always trying to get better. He loves talking about what might have been a mistake. So, a lot of promise there.
Celestial Colonnade will be the land that he plays for the turn. Cryptic Command's the only card in his hand. That's face up. And James, of course, knows about it. James will take 1 from the Bitter Blossom. He'll draw a card for the turn again. Lingering Souls in his graveyard. Blooming Marsh is what he's just drawn for the turn. There's another copy of Tarmogoyf in his hand as well. Here come the fairies and the Goyf. Sukenik's going to take 6. He's going to fall down to 14, it appears.
Modern is such an interesting format because you end up with decks like this. Some of the decks that we see are so synergistic and they're greater than the sum of their parts. And then we see these decks which are just exactly the sum of their parts. You know, they're just good cards. They don't do anything that's that unfair. It's like, hey, I'm going to play some discard spells, cast a Tarmogoyf.
Inquisition of Kozilek post Cryptic Command that drew a card hits a Serum Visions. So now James will untap. Bitter Blossom will deal him another point of damage. It's 14-all. It's tie game, Craig.
Yep.
It's tie game.
They're both in it.
Yep. It is very clearly tied. Hey, excuse me, 13.
Ooh, anybody's race.
Yeah. Tarmogoyf might be growing a little bit here, perhaps. Up to a 5-6. That will come in along with some fairy tokens. Now, do keep in mind, John Sukenik does have 2 copies of Supreme Verdict in his main deck. He has a Sphinx's Revelation. He has, for reasons I can only imagine, a copy of Secure the Wastes. I have no idea why that's in his deck, but I can't wait to find out.
And I don't think I like James getting some more threats on the board here. You know, he's going to win next turn, and even if Sukenik deals with the Tarmogoyf, he'll win the turn after that. I would be like, hey, what are the ways I lose this game? It's to a Wrath of God into some other good cards. Let me save my Lingering Souls. Let me save a Fatty.
Yeah, well, this is the kind of the advantage of playing John's deck is James is going to play another Tarmogoyf, is that if John does draw a Supreme Verdict right now, life is pretty good. He could also Cryptic Command into a Supreme Verdict, maybe tapping and drawing. But the advantage that he gets is that his opponents don't know what's in his deck.
Yep.
Unless they're very familiar with John's classic win or the fact that John plays strategies like this. Now, overextending there by James did not come back to hurt him, but it could have.
Could have.
But it could have.
He still had the Bitter Blossom, and it looked like a Knight of Reliquary in his grip. So he wasn't completely dry to a Wrath of God. But again, I would have deployed one less creature there.
We're going to take a look at the sideboards here now as James Wohlmacher, currently up a game here over Jonathan Sukenik. Obzon takes the first game against Jeskai Control. For John Sukenik, he's got 2 Vendilion Click, 2 Dispel, 2 Ruined Halo, 2 Celestial Purge, and then we'll see some one-ofs here in Supreme Verdict, Elspeth, Sun's Champion, Negate, Engineered Explosives, Wear Tear, another copy of Lightning Helix, and the very powerful If It's Staticaster.
Yeah, and I like a lot of these cards for this matchup. We might see the Celestial Purge as an answer to the Bitter Blossom. The Is It Staticaster is obviously going to be very good here. I really like Elspeth, Sun's Champion in this type of matchup. And I'm not sure if we're going to see a card like Negate come in, fight some of the discard, fight a Planeswalker, fight the Bitter Blossoms. So he has a lot of options going on.
We'll go over to James's side here. He's got some options too. 3 Fulminator Mage, 2 Stony Silence, 2 Damnation, 2 Collective Brutality. And now he's got the one-ofs, an Abrupt Decay, Fatal Push, Zealous Persecution, Ghost Quarter, Creeping Corrosion, and a card that's definitely going to come in here in a Thoughtseize.
Yeah. James' options aren't as spicy to me, but he's got a lot of spot removal that he's probably going to want to take out of his deck. His Fatal Pushes and Abrupt Decays don't seem great in this type of matchup, so he's going to want to get most of this out. So I can expect, you know, maybe the Collective Brutalities to come in, definitely that Thoughtseize, maybe a Ghost Quarter here, and a lot of these other options just aren't great. Maybe those Fulminator may just come in because he just doesn't have better options.
Well, those are the options there for both players. You see both going to the drawing board here. They've got a lot of cards they can take out and plenty of cards they can put in. So it might take a moment. And while we wait, we will talk about, for the first time today, certainly won't be the last, the StarCityGames.com, a weekly sale. We're watching Modern, so you might as well get 15% off of select Modern cards right now by going to go.starcitygames.com/weekly sale. We're talking Damnation, Polluted Delta, Meddling Mage, and of course, Lightning Bolt. 2 copies in Sukenik's list this weekend. Perhaps he'll catch some Death Shadow players maybe a little off guard. Weekly sale does end Monday at 10:59 a.m. Then we'll have a new one up for you, of course, at 11 a.m. East Coast time. Go to StarCityGames.com/weekly sale. So, you've played in the same. I don't know if you've played with Sukenik or not, but you've played in the same area as him for a while. This 8-0 start, any surprise to you?
No, it's not.
No?
I think he has all the tools to be a really good player. He's surrounded himself with other good players. He's qualified for a couple of pro tours. He has put up some very solid results. We talked about him winning the Classic. He knows what he's doing. And to me, with a lot of these younger players that just haven't had as much time to put up results, it's just a matter of time.
He's still a pretty young kid, I think. Early 20s?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been around for a while. I've been seeing him play Magic for a very long time, at least 5 years, maybe a little bit more than that. But he's always played Magic this particular way. It reminds me of Shaheen a little bit, where Shaheen loves his control decks, and so does John. I was actually a little surprised to hear that he's playing zombies in Standard. I expected some sort of blue Gearhulk deck.
Sure. Why, like I said, he's willing to discuss all of his decisions, whatever they may be. So whether it's his deck choice or a play that he made during the game, all this stuff is up for debate, and he will talk about it.
Okay. Well, he's always trying to learn.
Yeah.
Always trying to get a little bit better, which I obviously can appreciate, because that's the goal. And he is headed to the Pro Tour.
Yep.
He's going to Japan with you. Maybe you guys can put together a nice little brew.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, that's a good answer. I'm looking forward to it too. For James's deck, as he's currently up a game here, again, the numbers are a little bit weird. We're going to find 3 Bitter Blossoms, 2 Voice Resurgence, 3 Knight of the Reliquary, not really a staple in Abzan nowadays. You'll find that more in the Nightfall decks, so the Reliquary Retreat decks that we do see. Those are generally Bant-based. And then you've got removal here in Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay, Path to Exile, the discard spells. Those aren't much of a surprise, though. The lands are a little surprising, too. 1 Township, 1 Vault of the Archangel, a Ghost Quarter, a Shambling Vent. But when you do have access to Knight of the Reliquary, you can get a little funky.
Yeah. And that's only a few lands. It's not like he went over the deep end. We don't see a main deck Bazooka Bog going on right now. Sometimes people go too far with some of their bullets that they try to squeeze into their decks.
It's funny. It's almost like people kind of forget that Knight of the Reliquary is a legal card. It is a very powerful one, obviously. Maybe it's just not the right time. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it's big, super legal, but it doesn't see a ton of play.
Well, Modern is such a big format that there are so many good cards to work with. Sometimes it's just not the right time for a particular card. And 3 mana, when we're looking at a lot of these Death Shadow decks, 3 mana is a lot of mana.
Yeah, as opposed to a 1 mana 10/10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very true. James is going to take a mulligan here while John's happy with his 7, so we'll take a moment here and talk about the StarCityGames.com YouTube page, where you can go back and watch replays of this tournament. You can go, of course, watch Split Second, hosted by Star City's own Jeremy Knoll. The Versus Series with Brad, Todd, 2 Todds, Tom Ross, and of course Ross Merriam.
That echo is back.
Yeah, the echo is back. Todd, all the time. We got Commander Versus with Jeremy Knoll once again. Jonathan Suarez, who's playing this Invitational, so good luck to him, along with Justin Parnell and the American Dream, Stephen Green. Magic Online playtesting, the best of the SCG Tour, a whole bunch more. Subscribe today at youtube.com/StarCityGames. Become one of over 119,000 subscribers. That's so many people. So many people.
That is quite a few.
That's a large number of people.
So here's a question for you.
I hope I have an answer.
On this patriotic 4th of July weekend.
Indeed.
What makes Stephen Green the American Dream?
That's just, apparently that's his nickname.
That's his moniker?
Yeah, I don't know if it was self-given. I don't know anything. But he is the American Dream. Stephen Green. There's only one, thankfully. Only one.
Thankfully? Come on, man.
Look, one Stephen Green is more than enough.
We all want to be the American Dream.
We love Stephen Green, but a second Stephen Green would be too many Stephen Greens.
At least one too many.
Yes, that's correct. Flooded Strand here is going to be sacrificed by John Sukenik. He's going to search up a Hallowed Fountain, a play I'm sure he's made a lot over his Magic career, sacking a Strand for a Fountain.
More than most.
Yeah. He's going to play a Spire Bluff Canal, so he'll pass the turn back. For Wohlmacher, he had an Overgrown Tomb and a Noble Hierarch to kick things off today. See smiles on these two players' faces. They're off to a great start here at the Invitational. Both very much in top 8 contention. And that's where the real prizes begin. For Wohlmacher, Noble Hierarch is going to come in here for 1. He'll play a Verdant Catacombs and simply pass the turn back over to Sukenik. John will draw. He's picked up a Flood Strand.
What kind of maniac would play Abzan at the Invitational?
I don't know. Just it's a crazy line of play. and play Siege Rhino in their Abzan deck. Even crazier.
That's a little loose.
Yeah. But if I find them, they'd probably sit next to me in the booth.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't.
No, okay, fair enough.
They'd be out there winning the tournament, right?
Sure.
Or at least trying.
Yeah, getting very close. James is going to search up a Godless Shrine here, so all colors online here for his Abzan deck. Though not a great start. No 2-drop, no discard spell yet. We haven't seen a Lingering Souls he would have been able to play on turn number 2 if he had it. So he's just slow out the gate.
This has to play right into the hands of the deck playing, 4 Cryptic Commands, Sphinx's Revelation, all of these control cards. Big T, Torrential Gearhulk.
Mm-hmm. The longer we go, the better it is, I imagine, here for John Sukenik.
Yeah, Sean saying, all right, let's take it nice and slow.
Now, I am a little surprised, and we'll get to this in just a moment, as here's a Thoughtseize. So you speak of Big T, that's, of course, Torrential Gearhulk. That's in the hand. It looks like 2 copies of Logic Knot, a Censor, a Serum Visions, and a Glacial Fortress. Yes, we're actually playing Modern, believe it or not. This is what Sukenik has brought to the table. He's 8-0 doing it. But Wohlmacher has a copy of Zealous Persecution in hand. I'm a little surprised by that.
Well, he's probably aware of some of these cards. Elspeth Sun's Champion, it's not great, but situationally very good against that. What do you say? Secure the Wastes?
Yeah.
It's fine against that card. And like I was saying as we were looking at the sideboards, Wohlmacher has a lot of mediocre removal spells in this matchup. Path to Exile, Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay. There's not a lot of great targets for all of these. And so he just has to get better cards into his deck.
You saw the Thoughtseize take care of the Torrential Gearhulk. Now Sukenik's going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand. Down to 16 he goes. But this is the kind of pacing that he wants for this kind of matchup. Not a lot going on. Looks like he's going to search up a Steam Vents. He's got the Glacial Fortress in hand, so double white's not going to be an issue. Curious to see if he's going to cycle that Censor or not.
Yeah, the jig is up with that card. Can't imagine James plays into it at any point.
And now he will cycle it. So new card on the way here for John in just a moment. He will untap and take a draw step. Scalding Tarn. See if he wants to play that now and maybe play the Serum Visions. This Jeskai control player. Thinking things through this turn. He's also got a copy, it looks like a Celestial Purge in hand. He's going to start by playing the Tarn, and it looks like just passing the turn back. So in most instances, I feel like we see a player just cast maybe crack a fetch, search up a land, then play a Serum Visions that if they're going to scry, they're going to keep everything on the bottom. But Sukenik being very patient with that draw spell.
Yeah. Well, he's not sure what he needs right now, so I can see, hanging on to it until there's a specific threat that he needs to deal with.
Wohlmacher's going to untap. He'll draw a card. You see he's got neither Reliquary in his hand. Picked up a copy of Verdant Catacombs. Also has a copy of Gavany Township. He'll play the Township with a big smile. And it looks like he might just be passing the turn back with the goal of activating Township to start to growing that Noble Hierarch. But again, that kind of plays into what John wants to have happen, I think.
It's not the fastest clock.
No, not so much. So kind of going to search up a Sacred Foundry now.
Just the most imposing threat. Your 0-1 growing to a 1-2, attacking as a 2-3.
Sukenik will play a Serum Visions. He's going to scry too. It looks like he found Sphinx's Revelation on top of his deck. So he's kept one card on top. And of course, he's also found his Secure the Wastes. There is a Glacial Fortress. And Sukenik will pass the turn back over to Wohlmacher. Wohlmacher is going to activate Gavany Township very quickly, untap and draw. He's picked up a copy of Fatal Push, so clearly he couldn't get them all out of his deck. And maybe he wanted to keep one or so for Colonnade.
Exactly. There's Celestial Colonnade. That's actually one of Jonathan's biggest win conditions.
Okay. Right away with the Township. And now in with the Noble Hierarch. Sukenik says, yeah, I'll take it. Going to use my life total as a resource. Going to fall down to 12.
It's no 1 minute 10-10, but
Few things are.
few things are.
Secure the waist, everybody. Modern staple. We'll take a look. Take a look at it. Put X11 white warrior creature tokens onto the battlefield.
And James is already ready for that.
Yep. Sukenik will attack with them and simply pass turn back. We'll get some warrior tokens out here in just a moment as Wohlmacher will untap and draw. As we mentioned, Wohlmacher does have a copy of Zealous Persecution in hand, but hey, we might have a counter war over Zealous Persecution with these Logic Knots.
Very potentially.
Yeah. Who knows? Now again, Sukenik did see a copy of Sphinx's Revelation with the Serum Vision. I'm not sure if he added it to the top of his deck or if he scried it away, but it was an option for him if he wanted to take it.
Yeah, I can't imagine he put that card on the bottom of his deck with the way this game is shaping up.
Yeah, a rather slow grind.
Yep.
Wohlmacher has just not really been able to get any pressure going here this game. See just the one creature on the battlefield there with Noble Hierarch. He is also staring into the maw of those two counter spells.
Yeah, he doesn't want to just deploy his threats right into the teeth of what his opponent's trying to do.
And again, we know he's got another Reliquary in hand. We see, the Zealous Persecution. And yes.
The value.
The very powerful Fatal Push, not just for killing Death Shadow. Taking down a warrior token.
Yeah, you got to do what you can do.
I'm not sure I would classify this game as a best of SCG Live masterpiece. I think that's what I would say. Here comes the Noble Hierarch. Wohlmacher will sacrifice the Verdant Catacombs, and is it time to township yet again? It is!
We're going up, boys.
Now here's a Rev. Three cards on the way for Sukenik. 3 life as well. We can't forget about that. And it looks like Sukenik has found a Snapcaster Mage, so some more options to work with as he quickly untaps and draws. Do not forget those Logic Knots that are just hanging up there. Those are in his hand.
Hasn't really had a chance to play them. His opponent has not cast spells.
Sukenik will come in for just 1. Wohlmacher's going to fall down to 9. Desolate Lighthouse in hand. It's going to be the land that Sukenik plays. So James isn't the only one here with cool value lands. John's got some too.
Yeah, and this Snapcaster Mage presents a lot of options. He can go more Warriors route. He can go Sphinx's Revelation route. His opponent's kind of low in life total. He can wait till he gets a Lightning Bolt or a Lightning Helix, try to close out the game that way.
Yep. Snapcaster Mage, once again, flexing its muscles in a rather obscure game number 2 here between Sukenik and Wohlmacher. Ah, yes. Zealous Persecution.
Yeah, I think John is actually lucky that this happened now.
As opposed to maybe a little earlier?
No, later in the game, there's a good chance he would tap out for the Snapcaster Mage and another card.
That's true.
He would be exposed, especially if he had gone Secure the Waste route again.
A Cryptic Command is going to bounce Noble Hierarch and draw a card. So away that goes. Sukenik will draw. Picked up a copy of Electrolyze.
All that work.
Yeah. Undone.
Undone.
This just in. Cryptic Command, still really good.
Yeah.
Still really good card.
How do you feel about the textless full art Cryptic Commands?
Not the biggest fan of that particular version. As here's an Electrolyze. It's going to take care of Noble Hierarch, deal James 1, and draw Sukenik a card. Now he's rocking and rolling.
I feel like it's easy enough to interpret what that card is doing.
Yeah.
Just from the artwork.
Yeah.
You know, it's some sort of scaly claw.
Yeah.
So you know that it's got 4 modes.
I will scaly claw you. Yeah, you win. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Game's over. I'm on a kind of a Cryptic Command binge right now since I've been playing fairies.
Sure.
I'm just really into it, and it's just really busted. It just happens to cost 4 mana. It should cost 3.
Yeah, that's what it should do.
It should cost 3. They got it wrong. Here's an Inquisition of Kozilek.
Probably just should have cost quad blue.
Maybe. It's a nice little card. Couple Logic Knots, a Purge, a Think Twice.
Think twice, huh?
And I think 2 Snapcaster Mages. Yeah, he's got a little everything. Little this, little that, little pinch of salt here. A little lemon zest there. That's just,
Yeah.
There's a little everything going on in this Jeskai control deck. There goes 1 Snapcaster Mage.
Chef Emerald would approve.
Yeah, absolutely. Snapcaster Mage is the garlic. That's what that is. Here's a Logic Knot. Gonna slow down the old Tarmogoyf here. So you're kind of gonna do some delving. We'll take a look at Logic Knot for those unfamiliar. I know it's not a card that we see every day, but it's a counter spell with delve from Future Sight. That's why you see Sukenik removing some cards from his graveyard. You counter target spell unless its controller pays X, and you can help with that X cost by delving. And there's some cards in the graveyard there for Sukenik that he simply does not need. Now remember, Sukenik's deck is a Jeskai deck. He's not playing Tasigur or Gurmag Angler, any of that stuff. And now he's going to play a Think Twice.
Twice.
Yes. He'll play a Scalding Tarn and pass the turn back over to James. Full Mana Mage, a little late to the party.
Yeah, he didn't get his invitation right away.
Yeah.
You see the long, slow grind of matchups like this, how it just favors the Jeskai control deck.
By so much.
Just James has drawn a few too many lands. He just does not have that many threats to work with here, and Sukenik is squarely in control of this game.
Yeah. John has had the opportunity to resolve, a small Sphinx's Revelation, a small Secure the Waste. He's got the Snapcaster Mages, and James has said, I've had enough. I cannot win this game, and he will concede with about 23 minutes left on the clock as John Sukenik and James Wohlmacher getting ready for a third and final game here between Jeskai Control and good old Abzan. Good old Abzan.
Yeah, and he's got to be happy to be on the play for game 3. He can try to slip a Bitter Blossom in under the counter spells. Jonathan doesn't have a whole bunch of answers to a card like that.
Bitter Blossom be nice. Voice of Resurgence, a card that he has got 2 main deck copies of, will certainly be nice as well. But that game that we just watched, at least on James's side, he can't do things that way.
No.
It's just not going to work.
Yeah, it looked like he had a very slow opener, not a whole lot of disruption. He ended up fatal pushing a 1/1 token.
Yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not getting a whole lot of value out of that game.
Not great. Not great.
I thought the Gavany Township was going to get him there.
Did you?
I didn't.
No, I didn't think so. I was going to say, no, you didn't. No, you did not. Gavany Township being Noble Hierarch against the all removal spell deck?
Yeah.
Just a bit short. Just wasn't able to get it done.
So close. Fell just short of the finish line there.
These two players are going to sideboard up a little bit. Looks like they're already going to start shuffling. And we'll have game number 3 to kick off Saturday's coverage in just a moment. But we did unveil the details for Grand Prix Washington, D.C. yesterday. It's being hosted by StarCityGames.com over Labor Day weekend in your nation's capital. And we're going to show you some more details about that tournament in case you missed it right now.
On September 1st through the 3rd, make plans to be part of Magic the Gathering history when StarCityGames.com proudly presents Grand Prix Washington, D.C. Register by Sunday, August 6th for the standard format main event to compete for thousands of dollars in prizes and receive an exclusive playmat featuring Hour of Devastation. Select the 3-day Infinite Challenge package to compete in all challenge events for one low price, while also walking away with the exclusive Hour of Devastation playmat. All Friday challenges are also Grand Prix trials. Come out early and compete for buys in the main event and more chances to claim an Hour of Devastation playmat. Prefer 100-card formats? Register for the Ultimate Commander package to play in 4 Commander on-demand events and take home a Commander vs. playmat and Ultimate Guard Boulder deck case. Want to play on Magic's grandest stage? Compete in the Pro Tour qualifier on Sunday and receive a Progenitus foil promo just for playing, plus the chance for an invitation to Pro Tour rivals of Ixalan in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And don't forget to come say hello to Grand Prix Washington, D.C.'s many special guests, including cosplayer Christine Sprankle and an artist alley full of fan favorites, headlined by guest of honor Rob Alexander. Be part of Magic the Gathering history. Register for Grand Prix Washington, D.C. today.
September 1st through the 3rd, Grand Prix Washington, D.C., hosted by StarCityGames.com. We hope to see you in our nation's capital over Labor Day weekend.
Another home run with that playmat.
Yeah, Art of Devastation, great art. Looks to be a pretty good card, too.
Pretty good card.
Yeah, looks to be a pretty good card.
Better playmat.
Jury's still out. Jury's still out. Could be a great card.
Could be.
Could be a great card. It's already a great playmat.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Between these two players here, again, you've got your 8-0, lone 8-0 here on your left. That's John Sukenik and James Wohlmacher, one of our 7-0-1s, two undefeated players at the very tippy top of the standings and in great position to make the elimination rounds later this weekend. Sukenik, no stranger to success here on the SCG Tour, did just win a Classic in Baltimore a couple of weeks ago with this Jeskai control deck. James Wohlmacher, the more unknown of the two, but he's taken an innovative build of Abzan this far.
I think it's just a strong metagame call, right?
Yeah, I think the addition of Bitter Blossom is pretty smart. Look, if you're just trying to beat Death Shadow, which I think a lot of people are trying to do here this weekend, I think his build of Abzan is very good.
Yep.
I think it's pretty smart. Bitter Blossom's very good against that deck. Voice of Resurgence is 2 blockers against that deck, so you can buy some time. And Knight of the Reliquary is not the easiest card for them to answer, and they need to answer it, or otherwise things start to spiral a little bit out of control. Sukenik is going to Lightning Bolt a Noble Hierarch.
Well, and the Vault of the Archangel is also very strong.
Yeah, we've seen that be good.
When you start out chump blocking and you turn your guys into Death Touchers.
Yeah. We have seen that one be quite good. Wohlmacher's going to sacrifice a Verdant Catacombs. I imagine something that produces a little white mana might be on the way here. Just a moment, maybe a Temple Garden.
Just really going out there on a ledge.
I am.
Calling for the Temple Garden.
I am. Risky business. Godless Shrine.
Man.
Little off this morning.
Only half right.
Little off. Now he's got a turn 2 play. I'm just curious to see what it is. All right, Voice of Resurgence is not a bad turn 2 play. Sukenik's deck has a lot of counter magic. So for Voice to show up, Sukenik's going to need a removal spell. Looks like he wants to start with Serum Visions, but we'll see. And there is Serum Visions. He'll draw. Picked up a Scalding Tarn, now he'll scry 2. Secure the waste among the cards he's looking at here.
Yeah, Voice of Resurgence, obviously very good for James, but I think Sukenik would still rather see that card than the Bitter Blossom there.
A Hallowed Fountain tapped and passed the turn back, so Sukenik got both cards on top. Knight of the Reliquary, the draw here for Wohlmacher. In for 2 comes the Voice. Sukenik will fall down to 15. There's a Forest. Here's a Lingering Souls. John Sukenik might be in some trouble now, folks. He will untap. I'm curious to see what he kept on top. Serum Visions is 1.
It's a long game. I think he has Snapcaster Mage Bolt here to deal with the Voice of Resurgence. And then if he has Electrolytes to clean up some of the tokens, he'll still be in fine shape.
Well, Snapcaster plus Bolt takes care of one part of that Voice of Resurgence.
Yeah, it makes it bigger temporarily.
Yeah.
But then John can go back to his primary game plan of only playing spells on his opponent's turn.
But we'll take a look at Voice of Resurgence as John does take his turn, because the Voice is causing some real issues here. Whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, or when Voice of Resurgence dies, put a green and white elemental creature token onto the battlefield with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. Part of the inclusion, part of the reason that you find this card in James's deck is obviously the text is relevant.
Yep.
But this is a deck with Lingering Souls and Bitter Blossom, so the elemental token is actually going to be pretty big.
Yeah, there's some synergy there.
Yeah. There's Snapcaster Mage. And he's going to recast a Serum Vision, so he'll draw in a copy of Electrolyze, as you mentioned. And now he's found a Supreme Verdict and I believe a land. So he's starting to work himself out of trouble here.
Yeah, that's a big payoff card for him.
He'll keep Verdict on top. Other card will go to the bottom. And Sukenik will pass the turn back.
And the top is the perfect spot for that card, too. It's protected from discard spells. He's almost definitely going to want to play it next turn.
I'm sure Sukenik's thinking, come on, let me trade with that voice. Let me get a block in with my Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, I'm down if you're down, man.
Absolutely.
You want to scrap?
I'd love to scrap.
We can scrap.
Yeah. Wohlmacher thinking quite a bit on his turn how he wants to move forward. Again, I think he understands how good voice can be. Now here's Collective Brutality, discarding a Lingering Souls. Snapcaster Mage down. You see the hand, a couple of lands, Serum Visions, Logic Knot, Electrolyze, along with the Plains, the Sulfur Falls, and a Flooded Strand.
What's with that Plains, man?
What about it? You got a problem with the Plains?
I do.
What kind of plane should it be? It's a little too junky for you?
It's just boring. There's nothing going on here.
You're boring.
I
Supreme Verdict. Everything's dead.
I'm sorry I said something.
It's okay. It's okay. Sukenik is taking care of the voice problem, at least for now.
You know I'm sensitive about
I know. It's early, too.
about my entertainment value.
A Noble Hierarch here.
Yeah, you just keep saying what's going on in the game.
That's what I'm going to do. Don't worry. That's going to come in. We're going to see Lingering Souls get flashed back. And now immediately, Wohlmacher's built a huge board again.
Yeah, that's a big elemental.
Yeah, that's an attack for 5. Sukenik is down to 5, I believe, after that hit. And Sukenik actually had like this really good plan. The Collective Brutality screwed everything up.
Yeah, the Collective Brutality was great there. And it was such a corner case because the number of times that James is going to get to double up the Collective Brutality for a lot of value is so slim.
In this matchup?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, really true. Sukenik going to fall down to 5. He's going to get a basic island. We might see Serum Visions here in just a moment, as now we've got our green and white elemental token on the battlefield. Craig Wesco's Invitational card, basically.
Yeah. I'm just picturing Patrick yelling at our table judges.
Yeah.
About getting.
Yeah, get the right stuff out there. Logic not doing much. Sulfur Falls not doing much. I think John Sukenik needs some help. Voice of Resurgence has caused a lot of trouble this game. And it's just a bunch of lands, and that is going to do it. James Wohlmacher is going to win this game and match here over Jonathan Sukenik. 2-1. Abzan will give Sukenik and his Jeskai control deck his first loss on the weekend. And for James Wohlmacher, he might be in first place at the end of this round.